Good clean. Yeah, the costume, man. Without his crown, take away his throne and gown, he could be a rambler, all the Russians are. Judge each creature in our race by each feature in his face. Just look at him, I rest my case. Well, there you are.
And it matters not to me what part of town you've come from. We would share you made it here at all. Here beneath this garish parish called the music hall. And there you are. How very glad we are that there you are. It isn't who you are, but where you are. And there you are. And grateful are we to see how fine and fair you are. There you are.
Angela, my dear, are you out there?
Here I am.
Hello. And who is this fellow with you?
I am standing with a gent who seems singularly bent on attaching both its hands to both my knees.
Alice!
I'm considering the laughter of a most engaging chap, and I let him do exactly as I please.
I've a lady down in front who's handed me her latchkey. Surely she must know that spells her doom.
Victor!
And these lovely people will bravo me more or less.
And this man has grand designs to show me in my dressing room.
And there you are. How there's and there you are. Just slightly west of Leicester Square you are. Yes, there you are. And grateful we all should be full well aware we are. So lightning quick, let's all kick up a fuss. We cannot pray, our trust is blind in us. So drink your fear and just unwind in us. A warmly wicked frame of mind in us. You'll find in us. We want you and not a lot. We care for where you've been, and not the junk, we care how you got in. We but care that there you are. Damn it, there you are.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And welcome. A very warm welcome to all of you here on this most thrilling of evenings at the Music Hall Royale.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have the right of presenting, for your approval, the premiere performance of The Mystery of Edwin Drood.
This being a musicale with dramatic interludes. Now, as many of you are no doubt already aware, own Mr. Charles Dickens was full halfway through the creation of the greatest mystery novel of our time, when he committed the one ungenerous deed of his noble career. He died, leaving behind not the slightest hint as to the outcome of this bizarre and uncompleted puzzle, the mystery of Edwin Drood.
Tonight, however, ladies and gentlemen, when we reach that point in our story, beyond which Charles Dickens wrote no more, we shall be asking you to vote upon key questions regarding the outcome of our plot. And our company will then make its most earnest effort to meet this supreme challenge, to contrive an ending in accordance with your specifications.
Right, so let's go get all vulgar and uncivilized as legally possible. Kick off your boots, loosen your corsets, and enjoy yourselves.
Oh, and by the way, for those gentlemen among you who have arrived alone and require companionship up through the final curtain,
or beyond,
you need only to speak to our stage manager, Mr. James Thrall, whose pleasure it is to say that.
You need never be lonely again. I'll fix you up later, sir.
Oh, look, Jimmy wants fixing up now. Oh, no, his tongue's hanging out. Oh, Lord, he's wearing a pink tie. Do remember, gentlemen, that these vivacious ingenues are not salaried employees, so that any, money will go towards their theatrical study. And that all goods are backed by tomorrow morning.
Of course, thank you. So now, without further ado, let us proceed with this evening's bill of fare. For the first time ever, the completed musical rendition of The Mystery of Edwin Drood.
Cloisterham, the ancient mouldering city of Cloisterham. Not a particularly encouraging place for the Christmas season now upon us. A wintry shudder goes through the giant elms as it shed a gush of tears. Ah, and here we are, in the home of Mr. John Jasper, choir master of Cloisterham Cathedral.
Choir master, composer, organist, and vocal instructor. Mr. John Jasper is blessed with a voice the angels themselves might envy.
And who, dear ladies and gentlemen, to the sire role of John Jasper, than the gifted vocalist himself, Mr. Clive Pajon!
Another trifling day, one more so stifling day of blinding pain. Boredom grinds my brain down to the grain. A man could go quite mad and not be all that bad. Consider each disturbed, superbing urge you've ever had to curse aloud in church or choke each bloke who throws a smile your way. Be that as it may, a man could have bad dreams and not be all he seems, yet not be far removed from all the noblest of extremes. And anything that's sanity is just a passing fad. A man could go quite mad. Unblessed are the dull, one ceaseless, peaceless lull. Some wondrous night, storm-struck, thunderous light will cast me right. A sculptor lacking arms, a sorcerer lacking charms, a fiend who frightens no one, for there's no one that he harms, whose clutches clutch at only desperate respite from this dim tableau. Knowing this is so, I hide myself in thought, where one cannot be caught, and feed and feast and contradict each edict I've been taught. And if someday I lose my way and mind you'll find me glad, a man could go quite, man could go quite, man could go quite mad.
John Jasper eagerly awaits the arrival of his beloved nephew and the titled character of this evening's diversion, young Edwin Drood.
Hello, Uncle.
Why, there's the lad now.
My dear Uncle.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, your eyes do not deceive you. Devotees of male impersonation are more used to seeing Miss Alice Nudding in top hat and tails doing her famous rendition of Aren't I Half a Toff?
But this evening, she hides her distinctive form beneath the garb of young Edwin Drood. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm round of applause, if you will, for tonight's guest artiste and London's leading male impersonator, Miss
Alice Nudding!
Any dinner, Uncle?
You forget, Ned, that the words uncle and nephew are used here by express agreement.
Of course, you're right, John. After all, there are only half a dozen years or so between our ages. Hello, Jack. Don't...
Tidbit here, I'm sorry. So, Jack and John refer to the same person. Just like to point that out.
Hello, Jack. Don't drink yet. I must propose a toast.
A toast to what, Ned?
He asks to what? To Rosa.
Rosa!
To the fair Miss Rosa Bird. Surely you've not forgotten that Rosa and I are soon to be wed?
It has not quite slipped my mind.
Yes. A tedious ceremony in your creaking cathedral, then off with my wonderfully pretty child bride to dusty Egypt, where I intend to shake things up a bit.
It is certain, then, Egypt seems a desperate great distance.
Indeed it is, John. This portrait of Rosa is not one of my better efforts, yet you choose to place it here. In heaven's name, why?
Because it reminds me of you, Ned.
Hi, me again. So, Ned and Edwin also refer to the same person. This happens a lot here. Carry on.
And all of the happiness I wish upon you and fair Rosa.
Yes, I'm sure we'll be terribly happy, although our courtship suffers from an unavoidable flatness owing to the fact that my dead-and-gone father and her dead-and-gone father had good as promised us at birth. Why the devil couldn't they have left us alone?
Tut-tut, dear boy.
Tut-tut! Yes, it's all very well for you, Jack. You have the freedom to love whomsoever you choose.
Don't stop, dear fellow. Do go on.
Have I hurt your feelings, John?
How could you have hurt my feelings?
Oh, good heavens, John! There's a terrible film come over your eyes.
I have been feeling a pain and agony that overcomes me. I've been forced of late to seek treatment in London. Don't worry, the effects will soon pass.
My dear uncle.
Ned, Edwin, take it as a warning.
It shall be sacredly preserved, John.
I have confided in you because...
Because we are fast friends and because I love and trust you as you love and trust me. Both hands, Jack. My dearest Uncle Jack.
My dearest nephew Ned. A life without your friendship would be life as good as dead. The winds of hell may blow, but as you well may know, I'll heed your call, no need you small and face the fires below. For you,
For you,
for you,
for you.
two kinsmen more than brothers, we know no next of kin, and yet we know no others closer knit the skin. The blood that flows between us, the bonds that tie us twain, two kinsmen when all others flee, then we remain. My dearest nephew Ned.
My dearest Uncle Jack. If men say words against you, I would make them take them back. A loyal lad am I, who'd be but glad to die, if by my death one extra breath of life for you I'd buy. 'Tis true,
'Tis true,
for you,
for you, two kinsmen more than brothers, we know no next of kin, and yet we know no others closer knit the skin. The blood that flows between us, the bonds that tie us twain, two kinsmen when all others flee, then we remain.
'tis true,
'Tis true,
for you,
for you, two kinsmen all we do.
Miss Alice Nutting and Mr. Clive Pageant, ladies and gentlemen. I trust the moderation of your applause merely means you're conserving your energies for the final curtain. But to continue our story...
Young Edwin Drood is visiting Cloisterham to offer his regards to his bride-to-be, the fair Miss Rosa Budd, who, like Edwin, is an orphan. Rosa Budd resides at Cloisterham's most respectable seminary for young ladies, aptly, if not correctly named, the Nun's House.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the part of Rosa this evening, that most delicate of English roses ever yet to be plucked, the unspeakably lovely Miss Deirdre Peregrine.
Rosa, the happiest of birthdays to you. I only pray may be able to say these words on each of your birthdays.
I fear that is not likely, since, as you know, your own nephew Edwin and I will be departing for Egypt once we are married.
It was only a wish, Rosa. How lovely you look. I've awaited your birthday with eagerness.
Eagerness, Mr. Jasper.
Yes, your voice will no longer be apt to the fluctuations of adolescence. And in what condition is your voice today, my dearest student?
As my tutor, perhaps that question would be best answered by you, Mr. Jasper. Shall I sing the Mozart?
No. I have composed a piece especially for you, my loveliest subject on the occasion of your birthday. A choir master's pay being what it is, my life's blood the most I can afford to offer.
Sir, Mr. Jasper, I cannot sing these words. It would not be proper.
Why? Whatever do you mean?
I am not worthy of it.
As your music master, that should be my decision. From the beginning, please.
Between the very dead of night and day, upon a steely sheet of light I'll lay, and in the moonfall I'll give myself to you. I'll bathe in moonfall and dress myself in dew. Before the cloak of night reveals the morn, time holds its breath while it conceals nothing intervene. Between our eyes, the only sight I've seen is lustrous moonfall as it blinds my view, so that soon I only see but you.
That was lovely, Rosa.
Thank you, sir.
But lovely will not do. When you sing these words to me, you must make me feel you mean them. From the beginning, please.
Between the very dead of night and day, upon a steely sheet, I can't bear this, I'm frightened, take me away!
It is nothing. It's all over. Don't speak to her for a minute, and she'll be well.
She's not used to an audience. Besides, Mr. Jasper, you are such a conscientious master that I fear you make her afraid of you. No wonder.
No wonder.
You would be afraid under similar circumstances, wouldn't you, Miss Landless?
Not under any circumstances.
Ladies and gentlemen, our own fiery spirit, the unpredictable Miss Janet Conover.
Good afternoon, Reverend Crisparkle.
Oh, good afternoon, Mr. Jasper, and may I introduce young Master Neville. He and his sister Helena have both arrived here from Ceylon, where they no longer have any family. Neville has been entrusted to my care, and Helena will be staying here at the nun's house.
Welcome to Cloisterham.
Oh, I'm afraid young Master Neville has been given over to me to calm his rather hot-tempered nature, and to start a new beginning for him here in Cloisterham.
You and your sister lost your parents early, Mr. Landless?
Their mother died when they were quite young. Now their stepfather has crossed over as well.
I am most sorry.
There is no need for you bright gentlemen to console me. It is well my stepfather died when he did, or I might have killed him.
Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of our company, Mr. Victor Grinstein.
I surprise you, sir.
You shock me, unspeakably shock me.
You never saw him beat my sister. My stepfather was a brute, Mr. Jasper. In desperation, Helena tried on more than one occasion to flee his cruel and miserly hand. But even disguising herself as a boy, but to no avail. As for myself, I have had, from my earliest remembrances, a deadly and bitter hatred which has made me secret and revengeful.
I say.
However, sir, your kindness and goodwill have deeply moved me. I pledge to leave my ill-tempered ways behind me and break new ground for myself.
There's the lad. He'll soon blend in, Mr. Jasper.
Your pupil, Mr. Jasper, she sings beautifully.
Thank you.
I trust your efforts have not been without success.
I trust so, Mr. Landless.
And may I inquire if your relationship extends beyond that of pupil and master?
Heavens no, Neville. Miss Budd is betrothed to young Edwin Drood, Mr. Jasper's nephew.
You do well to cast your eyes and interests in other directions.
Pardon me, sir?
No pardon is necessary. However, I must be off. Choir practice, I fear. Good luck in your new life, Mr. Landless.
Thank you. Thank you indeed. I trust we shall meet again. I I should like to meet this Drood and see who is worthy of the affection of Miss Bard.
Steady, lad. Steady.
You are feeling better now, aren't you?
Oh, much. Thank you.
His surroundings, which may seem very secure to you, are new and unsettling to me. You want to be my friend, won't you?
I will be as good a friend as such a mite of thing can be to such a womanly and handsome creature as you.
Who is Mr. Jasper?
My Edwin's uncle, and my music master.
You know that he loves you?
Oh, don't! He terrifies me! He's made a slave of me with his looks, forced him to keep silent without his uttering a single threat.
Careful! You are tearing Mr. Jasper's composition.
It is of no matter. I do not intend to sing it again.
Oh, I'm sure we'll have at least one reprise before we're finished, don't you think? But we now step out of the chank sanctity of the nun's house and travel, for reasons which will soon become clear later, to the wickedest corner and the wickedest hole in the city of London. Below the streets and beneath contempt lies the opium den of Princess Puffer.
Here the universal tongue of opium is spoken, with its sub-dialects of prostitution, burglary, violence for profit, and murder. And reigning supreme over this blemish on England's fair complexion is the Princess Puffer, who ministrates to her clients' needs, hears more than she tells, portrayed this evening by the great dame of the Music Hall Royale, the queen of the red light district.
That good woman of ill repute,
Your very own and beloved,
Miss Angela Prysock.
Crime don't pay, that's what I tells them. If it did, would I be here mixing pipes? What then I sells them for a pint of rotten beer. Throats you cut to pocket throbbings, then you slut to cop some sleep. Flash your face for bleeding tuppence, pure disgrace to work so cheap. So as I say, don't be a sinner for the price of London gin. You can't pay for one square dinner with the wages of sin. Cheers. Tell me so, coil of common, who would buy this sack of sin? On the whole, there ain't much profit in the wages of sin. In the wages of sin, in the wages of sin. Oh! Hello, love. Fancy seeing you here 2 nights in a row. What piece of crumpet you been buttering up instead of me? What fancy little raspberry tart you been... Oh, I do beg your pardon, miss, I'm sure. First night on the town with him, is it, eh? Well, never you fear, love. I've had him on numerous occasions. And whatever he's got in store for you, praise God, it'll be over within an instant. What do they pay you, love? By the note. I had him when he was 14, God love him. You had any better since? He's not had any since. I've seen girls from gutter families trap rich men with fluttery ways as they caw past the Chamblies over nuptial breakfast trays. Over there in bed 11 sleeps a bleeding hypocrite. Spends his days eyes cast to heaven, spends his nights amongst this shit. Oh, I do beg your pardon. I'm so sorry. That will never ever happen again. Now, where was I? Nuptial trays, bed 11. Oh yes, shit. So as I say, don't take half measures, do things right and dig right in. In this world, there's greater treasures than the wages of sin. Now I get threats, but seldom offers. If I did, I'd pack it in. You can fill and many coffers with the wages of sin. Now everyone on, give your love some help with that last line then, all right? With the wages of sin. Oh, bloody hell, you can do better than that. And you, I see you. Now, all together, help me. With the wages of sin. God love ya.
The meanest room in London. And as the light of day steals into the room, not even the parishioners of Cloisterham be astounded to discover
In bed 11, that goodly choir master of Cloisterham Cathedral.
Mr. John Jasper.
Woman, I need more laudanum wine quickly. My task only half finished and your medicine is less potent than usual.
So you're mixing the wine with the opium these days? I'll fix it up for you now.
Yes, before I can get to the change of colors and great landscapes, I must be rid of him.
Who?
Him!
God spare you, there's no one there.
No, there he is, and there I am.
Yes, of course. Now, be still and have yourself a pleasant journey.
Rosa, give me more laudanum wine quickly before she fades. Rosa, bud, Rosa.
Did you say Rosa Bud?
I can't quite seem to recall what I said. Could you direct me to the nearest railway station? I seem to have gotten lost.
5 and threepence you owes me.
That seems a hefty sum for a small courtesy, if you are that needy. And the station?
Yes, well, the nearest is Altgate, 10 minutes walk away from the river.
Thank you. Incredible.
Who are you then? And what are you?
I wonder how many of you noticed that meaningful statement. It sounded suspiciously like a clue to me. Can we have it again, my dear?
Oh, yes.
Yes, once more, please.
Who are you then? And what are you?
What indeed? It is now the following day, as we find ourselves in a less sordid surrounding. We meet the leading citizen of Cloisterham, Mayor Thomas Sapsey.
Mayor Thomas Sapsey.
What's going on? Mayor Thomas Sapsey!
What? Really? With a sack of what? Well, it's unacceptable, isn't it? Well, at least you know who gets saddled with the... Ladies and gentlemen, your kind indulgence for a short announcement. The part of Mayor Thomas Sapsey will not, I repeat, will not be portrayed this evening by James Hitchens as is stated in your program. As many of you already know, Mr. Hitchens has tended to appear more frequently at the bar in the rear than up here at front of the footlights, so it'll come as no surprise to our regulars that he is once again massively indisposed due to injuries he received while fighting for a lady's honor. And apparently the lady wished to keep it.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, his part will be portrayed by your own humble chairman. I refer to myself, of course, Mr. William Cartwright. Thank you. And I hope this last-minute substitution meets with your approval. And I might like to add, it's more your luck than mine. Off I go.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sapsey.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kersparkle, and...
Oh, these are my new charges from Ceylon. I am taking them here to meet. And here they are now. Neville, Helena, allow me to introduce young Edwin Drood.
Sir?
Sir, I congratulate you on your good fortune.
Good fortune, sir?
Your betrothal, sir.
Oh, yes, Rosa.
Our young Ned is soon to depart himself for your segment of the globe, Neville.
Ceylon, Mr. Drood.
No, but the very same Egypt.
Oh, to make a future for yourself.
No, to ensure that Egypt has one. I shall shortly be taking over my family's engineering concern there, and I plan to pull off a miracle.
Pray, what miracle?
The Cairo Transverse, Mr. Landis. A thoroughfare for commerce and coach travel all the way through the desert to Alexandria.
A monumental task, Mr. Drood.
Indeed it is.
One wonders,
For example, where one will obtain the paving stones.
From the pyramids.
No!
Yes, my studies show there is enough rock in the top half of the Great Pyramid alone.
This is English blasphemy! Is it not enough that they take our delicate tea leaves and likewise improve them by pouring cow's milk into...
Neville, please, let us not raise our voices here in our Cloisterham High Street.
I meant no offense, sir.
And I did not mean my awkward ways to arouse such emotion. Or to ruffle your splendid feathers, Miss Bard.
I'm sure Mr. Landless only feels passionately about his part of the world, Edwin.
So long as he keeps his passions in check.
I fear I have not yet adapted to your more restrained climate here in Cloisterham, Master Ned. Miss Bard.
My uncle has already given me some account of your hot-blooded temperament and past, sir. I hope you have left them both behind you.
My reputation precedes me here, a situation I needs must fear. What hope have I of blending in with this, my shade of skin? I thought I'd cleansed my slate at last, but they anticipate my past. What do I show them? The full effect. What do I owe them? What they expect? A British subject on display in from Ceylon today. Our emigration to this location has brought our station down a mile. This destination divides creation in rank and file. And English are they, and British am I.
British are they, and English am I.
There are two subjects we don't discuss. One is our monarch, the other's us.
And yet I fear you soon will be the subject of scrutiny.
A British subject nonetheless.
From where and why they'll try to guess.
Cape Town or Burma, what's all of us? All terra Burma belongs to us.
A British subject bred and born, and subject not to scorn. Our emigration, this location, has brought our station down a mile. This destination divides creation in rank and file. And English are they, and British am I. Our emigration to this location has brought our station down a mile. This destination divides creation in rank and file. And English are they, and British am I. This is the way we'll stay till we die, till we die.
Do you see? It's as I've been saying, Miss Sapsy, there is an instinctive rivalry between my dear nephew and that landless fellow. And I fear his hot-blooded Eastern temperament.
Oh, I think you exaggerate the matter, Mr. Jasper.
I will go mad. Do you not realize there is a duality in all things in nature? Between his adopted English accent and his corrupted English mannerisms, there is a heathen landless, a tribesman landless, a half-bred, half-caste, half-blooded who would sooner kill a man than he would comb his sleek hair.
Come now, Mr. Jasper, this is quite extraordinary.
On the contrary, sir, nothing could be more ordinary. I myself suffer from a duality on occasion. I forget things, and in going back to retrieve them, half expect to meet myself rounding a corner I've already turned.
And what about me? Having to play your chairman in this Mayor Sapsy bloke, it's damn confusing.
I feel like our two-sided Neverlanders. I am not myself these days, for all I know I might be you. There's more than room enough for two inside my mind.
I can likewise in the haze of who I am from scene to scene, but more we too weak for, are in a bind.
For is it I, or is it me?
And if I'm him, or if I'm me, which one of us might not agree on what to do?
And if I take opposing side and think my mind, then who divides up what is right or wrong?
I'll go along with you.
Halfpenny, mumpany, twopenny, threepenny, 12 to the shilling and 20 to the florin. And would you not venture the currency foreign to find us a place of both sides of the coin? Bothers your uncle from pennies to guineas, the two-sided millions, a rule no exception. And would you not think about the brutal deception to find us a place of both sides of the coin?
odds are even.
Heads or tails,
It's high or low,
or black or white,
it's up or down,
or left or right, or night or day.
Nature seldom ever fails, so most obligingly provides an undisclosed opposing sides of one dismay.
The shadow's in, shining morn.
There's a rose, it bears a thorn,
Good as dead, as soon as born.
and yet we smile. But luck's division is
It
perverse.
seems to work more in
If
reverse.
things are better, they'll be worse in just a while.
Halfpenny, one-penny, twopenny, threepenny, twice a shilling, and twice a foreign. And would you not fancy the currency foreign to find the same face on both sides of the coin? Papa's your uncle from Eddie's to Guineas, your two-sided makers a rule of exception. And would you not feel like a fool of deception and find the same face on both sides of the coin? Halfpenny, twopenny,
La 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 la.
to the currency foreign to find the same face on both sides of the coin. Papa's your uncle from Eddie's to Guineas, your two-sided makers a rule of exception. And would you not feel like a fool of deception and find the same face on both sides of the coin?
Very well, all together now. Halfpenny, one-penny, twopenny, threepenny, twice a shilling, and twice a...
Yeah? Okay.
Why don't you guys just try for once? Okay, take a breath. You've convinced me, Mr. Jasper. I shall certainly keep my eye upon this Neville Landless.
You do that, sir. But if you excuse me, I must now change. Have a good day, sir.
Bye-bye.
Oh, my Lord. We don't get paid enough for this.
Happy Mother's Day.
Very good showing.
We now step out of Cloisterham's high streets and fall in relic with a citizen only known as Cloisterham as Durdles.
A man whose knowledge of Cloisterham Cathedral is, of course, exceeded only by his capacity for wine and spirits.
He is wetting his way towards an important assignation.
What's that you say, Bill?
Oh, here we go.
I said assignation, with Mayor Sapsy just around behind.
What's that you say, Bill?
I said round behind.
And so have you.
I didn't come here to be insulted.
Why? Where do you usually go?
I'm not a complete fool, you know.
Which bit is missing?
I'm next to an idiot.
Pleased to meet you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a warm round of applause, if you will, for the clown prince of the Music Hall Royale, your friend.
Not mine.
I give you.
And I don't want them back.
Mr. Nick Cricker.
Yes.
My own lad, young Nick Cricker II.
Yes, a warm round of applause for Nick Cricker and his son.
Afternoon, may Sapsy, your lordship,
Good
sir.
afternoon, Durdles.
Pardon me, the cough, it's a touch of rheumatism.
No, I think you mean rheumatism.
I've been working on his dead wife's grave.
Please refer to her as the late Mrs. Thomas Sapsy. And just that, Durdles, the late Mrs. Thomas Sapsy. At least that's how I like to think of her. That's how I like to refer to her.
She was 1 in a million.
No. One in the raffle, hey, all right. But is my wife's tomb ready?
Yes, Governor, the door's all ready for my inscribing. She'll be much happier once we've moved her from her temporary grave, though it hasn't been all damp and the moles haven't been able to get to her for ages. Though there isn't much you can do about the worms. I mean, they've already made a meal, Miss Sapsy,
That's
no matter...
quite enough, Durdles. And who is this thing, this boy?
My protege squire, name of deputy.
I put the lock on your wife's crypt myself, your lordship.
That's right, and I have the key right here. And it'll be my pleasure to unlock that door and slide your old woman right in there tomorrow. There's enough room for the whole royal family to have afternoon tea.
Yes, yes.
That crypt is a national treasure, if I may make so bold a grace. Earlier, Mr. Jasper asked if I take him down into the crypt to see it.
You might like to add that to your list of suspicious statements.
Steady on, Bill. We don't want these people leaping to conclusions about all the facts at hand, or else they'll all be running off to the races.
No.
Right, let's have a course of off to the races! Off to the races!
That's scheduled for later in the program. We can't break the momentum we're building here. For now, we
After the races!
Oh, shut up! Thank you. For now, we must step out into the darkness in hopes of shedding new light on our curious story as we follow Durdles the deputy into the graveyard of Cloister Cathedral.
Durdles, who's there? Mr. Jasper!
Have you been watching me? You cunning devil! I'll have the blood of you! That will serve you.
You murdered him!
What?
Murder!
Durdles, what are you talking about?
Murder!
Stop talking lunacy! Help me revive this poor boy! I only hope that...
There, you bastard! And I'll stone your eyes out the next time, so help me!
Why do you treat me in such a way, deputy?
You're right for the asylum, Mr. Jasper!
What a peculiar lad.
Blame it on his infectious use, sir, but that was excellent wine you gave me earlier. More potent than I'm accustomed. Were you able to look at Miss Sapsey's tomb while I was asleep?
Oh, no. I seem to have gotten lost.
I was lost myself in a fitful dream. I imagined someone touched me and took something from me. Well, here's what it was. Mayor Sapsey wouldn't like me leaving the mausoleum keys lying about in front of his wife's tomb. He gave me strict instructions that the keys were to be, well, and now the key to Miss Sapsey's tomb is missing. What do you think, Mr. Jasper?
I think I have guests to at any moment, Durdles, and what a host am I to not offer them the warmth and wealth of the Christmas season. A happy Christmas to you, Durdles.
And God rest ye merry, Mr. Jasper.
Yes, we've spent many a bright and chatting afternoon here among these silent tombs, eh? My own betrothed. No, Rosa, we are not legally bound to marriage.
Then, Eddie dearest, let us change to brother and sister from this day forth.
Never to be husband and wife?
Never.
I am honor bound to confess that this thought does not originate from you alone, Rosa.
I know, dear one. You have not been truly happy with our engagement, nor have I.
I am sorry, Rosa.
And I for you, poor boy.
Oh, if only our marriage had not been assured since birth, then we might know how we truly feel about each other.
Life could be. I'd know if I adore you, you'd know if you love me. Too much we've seen together to judge the view. Too much we've been together, and I assumed the future, and I presumed that you were there, and yet see the path before me, the forest from the trees. Could life be real without you? You're always there. How do I feel about you? I care too near to touch you, my dearest Ned. How much you mean to me, how much you hold me.
Sister,
I pray you will take this clasp, left to me by my mother, as a vow of my eternal friendship. God bless you.
God bless you, dear.
How do I feel about you? I care too near to touch you, my dearest Ned. How much you mean? How would we know it? How would we feel it? If we'd been perfect strangers, I might have loved you perfectly.
All this will come as quite a blow to my uncle.
Eddie, dearest, could we keep our change of plans from Mr. Jasper for a while?
Of course, why give him such sad news on Christmas Eve? In the meanwhile, he's expecting us for dinner, and I fear there's a storm brewing.
What a bizarre climate you have here in Cloisterham. First snow and now this threatening storm. I fear the gods must be angry.
God must be angry, Neville, not gods. We use the singular here in England.
What a storm for Christmas Eve.
Yes, 'twas like this the night that Rosa's mother died.
Neville tells me you were once engaged to Rosa's mother, Mr. Crisparkle.
Yes, yes. But I fear I was a bit too Anglican, a bit too angular for her taste. And then, at a seaside party commemorating a second anniversary, only a few months after Rosa was born, she apparently slipped, walking unobserved along the cliffs, and drowned in the embrace of the ungrateful waves. But enough! Let us follow Mr. Jasper's lead and forget our grievances both with life and with each other over a sturdy Christmas dinner.
I pray you'll forgive the meager merits of my humble table.
Hello all, sorry we're late, but we fought the storm.
Miss Budd, it's wondrous to see you again. Let me take your things.
Oh my God, Uncle, I had no idea you'd taken on a domestic staff.
Please, Edwin, Mr. Landless will take you seriously.
No fear of that.
Fellows, I must say, Rosa, you have no idea what it means to have you in my chambers.
Miss Budd, how is it in the season of holly remind me of the flowering hibiscus?
And how is it, Landis, that you remind me of an inconsistent baker, for while your metaphors are quite stale, your manners are uncommonly fresh.
You go too far, sir!
Gentlemen, it is Christmas Eve and I will no longer tolerate any unchristian-like behavior between you two. Now, I acquired this recipe for this mulled wine from a recent trip I took to London. It's very good stuff indeed.
Well, any port in a storm for me, Uncle.
Oh yes, any port in the storm. Very good, Edwin, very good. Oh, none for me, thanks.
Drink deep.
This wine is more potent than usual, Uncle.
I thought you lads would enjoy it. Now, let's have no more ill will between you two.
Please, Edwin.
There's no further cause for rivalry between us, Neville. You have my friendship if you wish it.
Then a Merry Christmas to you, Edwin.
The goose is cooked.
Miss Budd, I trust your next Christmas dinner will be in Egypt.
My God, Landis, perhaps you could accompany us. We could use someone to carry our bags.
What?
Someone more acquainted with a foreign tongue than he is with minding his own.
Gentlemen, ladies, please be seated.
Sir, I don't much like your tone, that supercilious sneer you wear. Clear you wear a better cut than mine, but the waistcoat to one can soon be torn in faggots too till maggots feed on you.
Something in this speech seems ominous to me.
should be glad.
Would you like some wine?
No good can come from bad.
My dearest nephew Ned, I wish to wish you well. Your life lays out before you just like oysters on the shell.
Loudness as you are unknown, your blood is hot but less than pure. That's so sure than we, your history would indicate. The past of some our customs, we are veins, your crew is thus explained. Something sent a chill like feet upon my grave. Can my strength and will completely never save?
Copies what they say, bring harm upon the lad.
Night must follow day.
No good can come from bad.
My dearest, deepest friends, may I propose a toast to Rosebud and Edwin, Drood, 3 cheers.
And here's the roast.
How very blessed are we, when oh so many star. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
Which one of you will carve?
Let us cut like grain, you won't with daggers drawn. I glare at you, who dare presume to stare into my grave. My wife and share my life, I'd see you dead before sweet rose are red. I feel it, I fear it. We are friends and yet they'll not soon forget. Eating every epithet.
In young days I hungered for another, Rosa's mother. After Rosa's birth she left this earth, now dust is all I'm worth.
So long a time they thought that time had risen, oh quite naive. But I perceive these boys, this noise more frightening than they might conceive. So long a time
I hungered for Rosa's mother.
I pray my wife can share my life, I see you dead before she's all I'm worth. There may be revealed murderous admissions, otherwise concealed. Fire on you I curse, full warning you I've had.
that mislead to us.
No good can come from that. No good can come from that.
What a storm for Christmas Eve. I must go down to the river weir to see this fit of nature unchecked. Will you excuse us, Uncle?
Of course, Ned. I will join you on your walk.
And we must retire to the nun's house before the storm. Good night, Edwin. Everyone.
Rosa,
Be careful how you tread, Neville.
I shall see the ladies safely home.
Will you join us, Uncle?
no, Ned. I have plans that I must execute. But I will not let you go in that flimsy little coat of yours. Here, take my humble yet serviceable caped coat.
Come, Edwin, your destiny awaits.
Then goodbye, Uncle. Goodbye, all.
When shall these three meet again? When, if ever? It is now the following day, Christmas Day to be sure.
The storm is over, but in its wake there is to be found no trace of young Edwin
Drood.
Mr. Crisparkle. Oh, Reverend, I know something terrible has happened to Edwin.
Oh, let us wait until my assistant Bassett reports. You have heard the sentiment, I'm sure, that no news is most certainly good news. And here he is now. Bassett, what news?
No news.
Ah, there you see. I do not believe I've introduced you to my assistant Bassett. His primary occupation is leading excursion parties around our church. Quite the showman is our Bassett, though. Tragically misplaced.
Misplaced?
Yes, he carries with him a secret. Now, Rosa, what do you think Mr. Bassett has done?
Oh dear, nothing dreadful, I hope.
Oh, nothing dreadful. Mr. Bassett has written a play. A tragedy.
When will it be performed, Mr. Bassett?
Never.
Sometimes I think Mr. Bassett has more pride in his lack of support, like a citizen of Greece who prefers the Parthenon in ruin. But I hope to see Mr. Bassett's work performed someday.
As do I, Mr. Bassett.
I love the theatrical world, but there are many stages beyond the proscenium. I long to play a larger part.
Then Bassett, use your enviable creativity to find some accounting for young Edwin Drood.
That assignment I eagerly accept.
Oh, my dear hopeless Edwin.
How like her mother she looks. Had the Lord not seen it fit to smile upon me? Had her mother not married another at that seaside party? or die 2 years later, I would have been Rosa's.
Father, I need your prayers.
Rise, my child. The cathedral bell summons us.
And is it not significant, Mass Sapsy, that Neverlanders was last seen fleeing the district?
You've convinced me, Mr. Jasper. Murder could indeed be taking place in Cloisterham's most affectionate bosom. Good evening, man. And yes, all due signs, all do point to young Neverlandless.
I couldn't agree more, sir.
I shall instruct a few strong fellows to bring him here, using whatever force is necessary, so that we may question him.
You do that, sir.
Catch Neverland right up now. Yes, and when we find him, we'll educate that murderous swine.
With any luck, we'll have a hanging for Christmas.
Yeah, fetch the dogs.
Mr. Jasper, look what I've discovered.
Why, it's been torn. It's been torn to ribbon. And there's blood on it. Oh, God, there's blood on it. Where did you find this?
Under a rock by the River Weir.
My dear nephew has been murdered. I take this oath before you, bastard. Recall it in your memory. I hereby solemnly swear to find the murderer and pin the murder upon him. I devote myself to his destruction.
I shall remember your words, Mr. John Jasper!
And I believe that's it for you this evening, Philip?
That's right, Mr. Cartwright.
Well, it hardly seems you're worth coming down here from Knutsford each night now, does it?
You seem to specialize of these parts of late.
Not by choice, Mr. Cartwright.
Let's see, in Julius Caesar, you played the part of
a senator.
Ah, so at least you were in for the kill.
You know, if you think of it, it's kind of odd Mr. Charles Dickens even created your character at all, unless he was promising a better future in mind for you.
That's been my solace in the role, Mr. Cartwright.
Right. Well, you still do understudy for Mr. John Jasper. Surely one of these days
in actuality, Mr. Clive Paget claims to have never missed a performance in his entire career.
We're almost done with this first act. Our second act is considerably shorter in length than the first. Would you happen to have a song ready at hand?
Well, as a matter of happenstance, Mr. Cartwright, I do, in common with my role this evening, have aspirations as an author. And I've composed a brief song, which I venture to say underscores the dilemma I share with the character Bazard I portray.
Its title, Mr. Bax.
What? Last one for the act. Promise. Philip Bax is our wonderful actor who portrays Bazard this evening. Warm round of applause, if you will.
Its title, Mr. Bax.
What? Oh, never the luck, Mr. Cartwright.
Ladies and gentlemen, an unscheduled diversion in our story this evening. The debut performance of an unpublished and perhaps rightfully unheard composition.
Mr. Philip Bax singing his very own Never the Luck.
Never the luck, and never the lead, and never you mind, they say. In time we all taste the lime in the light, and I'll have my night someday. Still, each precious part seems over and done before I've begun to speak. I cast out my line and keep my hand in, but I'll not stand in this week. Some starless night they'll call towards the wings. Who here dances and sings? That's when yours truly springs, and seeing me then they will cry. Why? He knows each line and everyone's cue. We must let him do the part. I'll leap center stage, the music will play. I'll waltz my way into your heart.
but never the luck have I, but ever the dream have I.
Oh, I'm sure nothing's certain, lad. I'm sure there is some...
Where is Edwin Drood? Where is... Why do you ask me that way?
Because he's missing and you're the last person seen with him.
Yes, Mayor Sass.
You left for the river with Edwin Drood at what time?
In all honesty, I cannot remember any of what transpired once Edwin and I reached the river.
And what are these bloodstains upon your shirt front?
I acquired these bloodstains, sir, when these men of yours dragged me forcibly back from the countryside where I had been walking.
Nevertheless, as acting constable for the district, I place you under arrest.
How many men did it take to murder you in this way?
8.
You have an interesting way with the Lord here in Cloisterham, Mr. Sapsy. And you, Mr. Jasper. For days now you have been warning all of Cloisterham of impending violence between your nephew and my brother. What do you know of all of this?
All I know is that my nephew is dead.
Mr. Sapsy, I warrant that young Master Neville has no knowledge upon Edwin Drood beyond that which he has freely volunteered.
And you shall volunteer nothing further, Neville.
I would like to remind you and your brother that there is the issue of murder at hand.
Before you utter that word again, you laughable men, perhaps you will be good enough to provide a body, a victim, a corpse, something more tangible than an errant nephew, a timorous uncle, and a ludicrous city official who has no backing for his charges beyond pure pomp and sheer circumstance.
Hear, hear!
Well said, Helena.
She's right, you know, Mr. Sapsy. Without young Edwin's body, you cannot possibly convict young Master Neville.
Oh, very well. Release him.
Oh, bless you, Mr. Crisparkle.
I am overpaid.
I only wish I could express my gratitude without this strange, somewhat geographically untraceable accent.
Yes, now, let's all pause for a moment, shall we? So, Edwin Drood has vanished and may most likely be... Clive?
Oh, dead. John Jasper has sworn vengeance upon his nephew's murderer.
Who most of the populace believe to be Neville Landless.
But the charges against Neville had been rescinded thanks to Helena Landless's steely resolve and the support of the kindly.
The Reverend Mr. Crisparkle, who was once engaged to...
Rosa's deceased mother. Meanwhile, it's difficult to know what one should make of.
The drunkard stonemason Durdles and his young apprentice deputy, not to mention...
And Princess Puffer, the mysteriously moated purveyor of opium.
Statements to consider during your interval with one admonition. Should you leap to conclusions without all the proper knowledge, you may find yourself carried off to the races.
Yes, Bill! Let's have a cruise off to the races!
All right. Come on, now, get on. Quick conclusions often lead the best of us astray. The wisest fool in life is just to wait.
Otherwise, like galloping emotions run away
Like horses at the gates. Gas, gas, gas.
on to the races, on to the races, on to the race we go. Where the chase is and what the pace is, we seldom seem to know.
Wanted that was never more pursued. A member of the soft and savored race.
Save the race!
Firmly anchored to the ground, they suddenly will view
Our fair and favored face.
then.
On to the races, on to the races, exciting faces. His saving graces, strong bigger places, the need for love at all. Turn from that, all your assumptions, hasty presumptions, like to you make. Mind on track like a nag running blind, try hang in the heart, you'll find you'll win.
Bless our Queen Victoria. She's had 9 kids today. Wonder how Prince Albert got him fit.
Probably by her decree he had to procreate.
Said she make me amused.
races, royal races, the same as poor folks.
When she embraces royal graces, the same as one says.
Races won by the tardy, not the foolhardy, fools and we need. Don't unlace your man, count the band, to end the land undone not me. So before the morning you're to hold your horses raised, before the soldiers begin to ride. Sometimes having patience is as good as having friends, so take your bloody time. Pour out the spirits, the end is near, it's only a length or so. Don't begin to beat your tar, for the thing is yet to go. To the races, off to the race we go. Tally-ho!
Six months have passed, and English summer is in progress. Still there is to be found no trace of young Edwin Drood, and all of Cloisterham is agog with rumour and suspicion. But there are further developments. Two inquiring sleuths are about to appear on the scene, one being the Princess Papa, whom you've already met. The other being a detective, a man of mystery who wears a bulky coat, a fulsome beard, and the name of Dick Datchery.
Eh?
I said Dick Datchery.
Right.
Tidbit here, anybody recognize that actress? No, this is not Edwin Drood as Dick Datchery, that'd be far too boring. No, this is instead our Alice Nutting in portrayal of Dick Datchery for reasons which will become very clear very soon. Warm round of applause.
These two apparent strangers approach with grand intentions and great expectations. Might I like to add, we might be presenting in Brighton next season. And like ourselves, Mr. Dick Datchery and Miss Princess Puffer are now just arriving at Cloisterham Station. Ah, yes. And there he is, Mr. John Jasper. Back again from another trip into London.
And in his wake, note that among the many curious souls here in Cloisterham, none are as intensely curious as these two sleuths.
Here to track this man in black, and I, with one clue as to the who and why.
I find myself in this aggravating garb and face, gravitating to this place, navigating through this case. I've come to town, my ear at every door, half the clown, yet crafty at the core, settling down to settle up the store. A kettle full of fish I'll fry, I'll cook each goose to make some metaphor, and I'll unloose a mighty meteor, settling down to settle on the score. My metal will be more than tested, a debt will be repaid before I've rested. Oh, Drew, no word. What's brew? No grave. True. Who'll say who's done what and why? True. I'm on the scent. I'm inventing everything I am.
Where's the sacrificial lamb?
Here in bloody Cloisterham,
I've come to town to ask shiny crown? Or was he washed ashore, settling down to settle up the score? Red herring on the briny beach. I saw this yet. Oh, saw this yet. Inquisitor, Grand Inquisitor, met me once before, made a threat. I only wish you would. I'm settling up the score for good.
Mr. Chris Sparkle, there you are. All things looking bright and beautiful tonight, don't you think?
Yes, as if the stars were mere punctures in the ceiling of the earth, through which heaven's light seeped through. Or something along those lines. I only wish my assistant Bazard, who's away on business, could see a night such as this. Good day, good day.
Hold on there, boy. Hold on there, boy. Here's a face we've not seen before. Welcome to Fair Cloistrum, Captain. I'm in the way of being official greeter to all guests who might have the price of a bottle of wine on them. My name is Durdles.
My name is Datchery.
Dick Datchery, I was wondering if you had any lodging in these parts.
Oh, no doubt, Mr. Datchery.
Something architectural and out of the way, inconvenient.
We have any number of inconvenient lodgings here in Cloistrum, sir.
Excuse me, sir. I couldn't help overhearing. The only such accommodation I know of along those lines is a single lodging just above the rooms of Mr. John Jasper. He's quite an admirer of my very own.
Oh, John Jasper, is that the fellow who has been much afflicted by the loss of his nephew, young Edwin Drood?
Excuse me, young man. This much afflicted fellow, John Jasper, is he always dressed in mourning these days?
That's the man, and I'm never going near him again.
Why is that, boy?
Because I don't want to be lifted off my legs and choked again.
I find that interesting.
I shall much enjoy observing the comings and goings of this town.
That man should speak to his tailor.
Oh, excuse me, miss. Could you tell me where Mr. John Jasper...
Oh, are you ill?
Oh, no, miss. I always look this way.
Rosa, it seems we've both been guilty of neglecting your music lessons as of late. When shall we resume?
Never, sir.
Am I being politely told you wish to forego your lessons altogether?
The politeness is yours, not mine. I beg not to be questioned. I will not answer any more. At least I have that in my power.
Rosa,
I do not wish to hear you, sir.
I do not forget how many eyes command a view of us, Rosa. But you will hear me, whether you wish to or not. Darling Rosa, charming Rosa, I kept our secret loyally, did I not, when you were engaged to my dear nephew?
You as false to him, sir, daily and hourly as you are now. You know that you made me afraid to open his kind eyes to the truth, that you are a bad, bad man.
Oh, how beautiful you are, even more so in rage than you are in repose. Give me you, don't give me your love. Give me your hatred, your petty rage, your pitiful scorn. But be careful, sweet charmer. What you are doing cannot be undone.
You're mad.
I wish to show you how mad my love truly is.
Love? How dare you use that word?
Rosa,
Well, I've just overheard something. Yes, and now I have one of the very bits of information I came here for.
Are you leaving Cloistrum already?
Not bloody likely. I didn't come this far to leave with but one piece of the puzzle in my hand. I've never in my wretched life been this close to getting what I set about after. All the fool I'd be to ease up just when I'm winning. I never understood those in life who ease up just when they should push on. Once I bet my last 10 pence and won. Twice as rich then, friend said, call it done. How sad I said, so that's your wildest dream, eh then? 20 pence instead of 10, double up my bet again. In life we start the same as when we're done. If you lose, you're just where you begun. If you've won, don't quit while you're ahead. Just press your blessed luck instead.
stopped with victory close enough to taste. In a moment all due haste, for God's own sake. So praise the state. You shine a lucky thing, never break. You any lucky chain, but refrain. Don't break on your head, as easy gonna stand. You'll see that as our free. Bang it back and all glory be. Bang it back and all glory be. Don't break on your head. Sing out, there's more in store for me.
Encore, encore, maestro, s'il vous plaît!
Now, at last, we see the slightest glimmering of light, shimmering in the dim dull of night. So long have we been blind, but finally we are mine. Not what that truth is this.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's at this part of our story where Mr. Charles Dickens laid down his pen forever. And so, this is all we shall ever know for sure about the mystery of Edwin Drood.
But tonight, at least within the confines of this humble theater, we shall solve, resolve, and conclude the mystery
of Edwin Drood. One minor mystery we can resolve immediately, though it has little to do with the plot at hand. You see, most literary experts agree that our own Mr. Dick Datchery is actually a character we've already met in Act 1. A character disguised roaming Cloisterham to further investigate the disappearance of Edwin Drood.
Remember, that's the detective.
Right. And, as many of you have no doubts already guessed it, the part of Datchery has been taken thus far by leading male impersonation, Miss Alice Nutting.
But this does not mean that Edwin Drood is Dick Datchery.
Nope.
No, far from that. The real reason behind Miss Nutting's portrayal of Datchery this evening is, well, she was contracted to appear in both acts of this play, and our management believes in an honest week's work for an honest day's pay, if you catch my drift. So we shall answer our first question. Is Edwin Drood dead or alive?
Mr. Charles Dickens experimented with many different titles for our story. For example,
The Loss of Edwin Drood.
The flight of Edwin Drood.
The disappearance of Edwin Drood.
but none with the murder or death of Edwin Drood. See, some would say that a mystery without a murder is no mystery at all. So, ladies and gentlemen, our questions shall be answered tonight, primarily by you.
But in a daring and perhaps dangerously democratic move, the Music Hall Royale has generously granted our company the right to vote upon one key issue each night. And might I also introduce one of our lovely actresses here to assist us in this voting process for fear of us collapsing in confusion. So warm welcome.
Mr. Throttle.
Our first question, is Edwin Drood dead or alive? Now, being that Miss Nutting has a vested interest in the outcome of our vote, she will kindly turn her back to the cast. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the cast, as your whim takes you tonight, all those who believe that Edwin Drood is dead, please raise your hands. Thank you. And all those who believe Drood is alive, please do the same. Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry, Miss Nutting, but it seems like you've snuffed it by a large majority, I fear. The next key question, Mr. Throttle.
Who is the detective, Dick Datchery?
Well, now, Edwin Drood can be safely eliminated from that consideration as our cast has voted him dead for the
Dead? Ha! And bloody you absolute envious little shits! It is quite clear to everyone here that Drood is... that I am Datchery, and it is even more transparent that this petty, envious cast is simply jealous of the attention that I have been receiving in the local press. Goodbye, all!
No, stop, come back.
Miss Nutting, please don't leave! Not the door! No! Bye-bye. We have no idea the week we'd had with her.
No idea.
First, her dressing room was too small, then her mustache was too long. I told her she was splitting hairs. Oh, please yourselves, folks, for I must apologize for this bit of unpleasantry. And what, I'm sure you agree, has otherwise been a flawless evening.
But in all fairness to our cast and to our story, I must strenuously point out that many literary experts disagree with Miss Nutting's contention that Edwin Drood and Dick Datchery are one and the same person. Indeed, there are still many prime candidates for the face behind Datchery's beard.
For instance, I give you Helena Landless. About her, Neville revealed in Act 1.
She tried on multiple occasions to flee her father's cruel and miserly hand, even disguising herself as a boy.
A hit. A palpable hit, but is it a meaningful thrust or a misdirection? Wouldn't Helena Landless be fearful of pursuing John Jasper under the given circumstances?
Not under any circumstances.
But the candidates hardly end there. What you say of Bassett?
I love the theatrical world, but there are many stages beyond the proscenium. I long to play a larger part.
Who more likely to don such a melodramatic garb and seek the spotlight? Why otherwise does he appear in our story at all?
I have, from my earliest remembrances, been secret and revengeful.
Who more likely to investigate the disappearance of Edwin Drood than he who is most suspected of foul play? Or did someone else wish to clear Neville's name?
Neville has been entrusted to my care.
Ah, the Reverend Mr. Chris Sparkle, whose passion and energy lay hidden beneath his clerical garb. And then there was the puzzling yet intriguing possibility of Rosa.
Could it be that we have underestimated the resourcefulness of this woman-child? Did she take it upon herself to investigate the disappearance of Edwin Drood?
Looks can be deceiving.
But this I do know for certain. Dick Datchery is not John Jasper, the Princess Puffer, Durdles, Deputy, or even Mayor Thomas Sapsey. For in our story and in Mr. Dickens's novel, they all appear in scenes with him. They're observed to be in his company. Which leaves us with these remaining candidates for the role of the detective Dick Datchery.
And do remember, folks, we still have more decisions yet to come. Soon we shall be asking you to decide upon a murderer for Edwin Drood. So don't merely go voting for whichever cast member is a distant cousin of yours, for God's sakes. Right, Mr. Throttle, the voting books, please.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, to vote for Datchery by a round of applause, the tempestuous Miss Helena Landless. All the way from Ceylon, it's Neville Landless. The lovely Miss Rosebud. The underrated Bazzard. Or the ecstatic, ecclesiastic Reverend Chris Sparkle.
Very good. Bazzard is our Datchery tonight. You'd best go make a quick change of costume. I can see several members of the audience more than ready to assist you in the process.
And now, to a much more...
Somebody
can you get the door?
Hey.
Oh, for God's sake.
Oh, God.
Miss Nutting, really?
Get away from me.
No.
Oh, don't touch me, you donkey.
What? No.
Thank you, goodbye.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, such appalling behavior is due entirely to our bringing. Her parents were in the iron and steel business.
Mother Iron's father Steel! What, you didn't like that one? Well, how about this one then? She was previously known as an orthopedic soprano. She sang in all the joints.
You mean to say you didn't like that? How about this then? She used to sing in a pub called the Cock and Comfort. None of the comfort, but plenty of you catch my drift? So that's the mood we're in tonight. All right.
So now we ask, who killed Edwin Drood? Who shall be our murderer tonight? First, for your consideration, I'll give you the most obvious candidate for the part. Mr. Clive Paget is John Jasper.
Come now, ladies and gentlemen. Do not know here to Music Hall. We boo and hiss the villain.
We will ruin your evening, so here we go. Last chance. I give you the most obvious candidate for the role of the murderer this evening, Mr. Clive Paget as John Jasper.
Come on, boo.
Come now, ladies and gentlemen. Is this the face of a murderer? Yes, well, more appropriately, is this what mystery of Edwin Drood is. That John Jasper, the obvious villain of the part, who did indeed kill Edwin Drood in a hopeless attempt to win the love of Rosa. Well, where then the mystery?
Where indeed? So how stand you? For the obvious answer, or for a more perplexing solution?
Now, certain members of our cast can be safely eliminated from the bidding. Young Deputy, my own Mayor Thomas Sapsey, who were in for comic relief and never figured intimately with the lives of other characters.
Which leaves us with these remaining candidates for the role of the murderer this evening.
Helena Ladness, did I, in trying to save my brother, bring harm to Edwin Drood?
Rosebud, why on earth would someone as innocent and pure as myself murder my own true Ned?
Durdles, I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than give Drood a frontal lobotomy.
Neville Landless. I, in all honesty, cannot remember what transpired once Edwin and I reached the river. But he was an odious little twit and deserved what he got.
Sorry, dear. Princess Puffer, who am I and what am I?
The Reverend Mr. Crisparkle, have I in some way confused my mission here on earth?
John Jasper, I have stood in the cold glare of suspicion since our story began.
Time, ladies and gentlemen, time at last to decide. So we bring up the house lights, and we begin.
Now, certain cast members are circling among you to count your vital votes in a tally.
So
tallying.
now, we ask you.
Oh my lord.
Cedric, he's had a chance.
He had a chance. We can't be us.
No,
It can never be us.
No, it can never
we are
be
the
us.
best at
We are
this
the greatest
game.
Why
We're
would
the
we
best
ever
at
kill
this
someone?
show.
Why would Diddle? Why would you be a murderer? Someone
Why
has.
would I give him such a large sum of was exciting to glance?
I know. Why would you make such a big tube? Interesting. Ah, he's running ahead of himself. Look at that, Bill. He's running ahead of himself. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Stop trying to flag them down.
Never.
Flag.
Why is it you?
Hey, you don't have to. Don't
I don't
vote
know
for this man.
before.
Don't know.
I can't seem to see. Oh, Rosa's number 4.
It's over there.
Now, so, would it be Neville? Would it be this man? Why is it you? Why is it?
Because I hate it.
You have no alibi, but you are so okay, silly.
Has to pay.
Why would anybody want to
Jim
vote
for you, little.
Why?
Cameron doesn't have one, and people.
Hey, don't be so crude with you.
Cameron.
They're not going to vote for you if you're so petty and evil like that. Cedric, relax.
I believe that's a 3 she's holding up. A 3? 3.
Whoa. What is this? Nah, we gotta get him out of here.
Nobody's going to vote for you.
Nobody's voting for you. Why would they vote for you?
Here, I got this side.
Anyone? We got everything? Oh, why would it be you?
Did you all cast a vote?
Stop it.
Hey, Clyde, get your ass up, would you?
3, 4, 6. Did you vote?
Why do we even hire them?
Why do we don't get
Are you
paid
guys
now.
going to remember the ad prom?
Sure. No, I'm not.
Provide an explanation?
I'll just take all of them. Or no.
Have we all voted?
I didn't take them backstage.
Very suspicious. Why is she suspicious?
Ads last night. Just trying to say. I just want to add.
Did you vote?
Thank you so much. No. Way too much suspicion. Would it be... Okay, let's stop.
What'd you do?
Cedric, you've had your moment. What about you?
1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2. I don't know. How do you even count? Can you even count? I can't count.
I cannot count.
I can't even count.
Yeah, no, sure, of course.
Can you count? I can't count. I think.
Are you writing it?
I think it's count time.
I think it's count time.
Count time.
We're done.
Count
We're
time.
counting our votes.
No, we got a million for it.
Let's break it up, you two.
Yeah, ready big.
Let's break it up, you two. Why is it you? Rosa, why would you kill someone?
You have to count. We got so
High five.
We have like
Everybody want to get a high five. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, they're all gonna high five. All right. Hi. I think Rosa's winning. What? I think Rosa's winning. Again.
Why not?
Why not?
Why
Because
not?
she's had a moment.
Let her have her shining star.
I think we've passed the
She is the shine of the stars. Of all the stars. You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm saying.
Me too.
Here's every soul in the town. We're fit to fill the role, settle down. Your verdict will be clear. Your murder rate is here in sight. Tonight you choose from candidates galore, win or lose. Your grand inquisitor, here's the news. Your judgment has been passed. You've settled up the score. At
Last. Wow!
Unbelievable.
I have to rehearse more, I guess. Ladies and gentlemen, you have determined the murderer in our midst. And now as our cast departs backstage to count your votes, I only caution you to prepare yourselves for a bit of twists and turns as we reach the conclusion that you have determined for us tonight.
So, ladies and gentlemen, friends of the Music Hall Royale, for the first time ever, and at long last,
By your own determination, the conclusion, the finale of the mystery of Edwin Drood.
The first chapter of Mr. Dickens' novel was titled The Dawn.
And not coincidentally, the last chapter he wrote was called The Dawn again. So yes, let us begin our last chapter. Amid a cold gray sky of an English dawn. Yes.
Oh, bloody hell, it's freezing. Hey, miss,
What is it?
can you spare 3 and 6 for a Christian soul in distress?
We're both Christian souls in distress, I fear, and I've little more than 3 and 6 to get me to London.
Running away from something?
Yes, at long last, yes. Now, I must.
Rosa.
How on earth could you know my name?
No, I've only known you since you were born. Only bathed and fed you. Don't look at me, Rosa. I don't want you to see me this way. But can you, Rosa, look at me and see some 12 years ago? Can you look at me, my darling girl, and see your Nan instead?
Nan. Somewhere. I was 6 and then you weren't there anymore.
Oh, God bless you, you do remember. You never really knew your mother, did you? I was the closest thing to that for you.
But why did you leave me?
It's a sad story, really, but a common one, I fear. Let me explain. Rosa, my child, my own, I'm deep ashamed you went through life alone. And yet despite my dreadful fall from grace, I never once forgot your name or face. One nice evening a client of mine began to rave and crave some laudanum wine. And as he drank his cup of Satan's blood, he made the grave mistake of crying, Rosa, blood. Now it's one thing for them like me to mix and mingle with the likes of he. We are both made from God's most lowly clay and mud. But how comes this man to cry out, Rosa, blood? Well, I can't see too clear, but I followed him here, finding out who was who. I came back a time or two, then last night tracking me was this Mr. Datchery. So I followed his tracks to his lodgings in the backs. Though I hate to confess, as I watched this man undress, and I saw sudden wise him without his bold disguise, took the grace of theatrics and no fear of hazard. Dick Datchery is Bazzard.
It is I gladly reveal my joy in telling all I cannot conceal. Author am I, at least of this page. Joyfully now I take center stage. My motive in taking this part was to hone even further my art. Theatrical bent in a costume that's let me strive for it's dear to my heart. The chance for some public acclaim, just a shred of a second of fame. As a player, I had a plot to unravel, should not pose a problem much harder to tame. This was my greatest audition, 2 decent roles at a time. Finally some recognition, staging the scene of the crime. Going out on a limerick, out on a limerick, out on a limerick, I found a theatrical kit, and his statuary I did my bit. Just to clear Neville's name, I confess to my shame, 'twas for vanity too, I admit. I followed John Jasper high low, so the density descends to below. And when Puffer came, 'twas immediately clear my suspicions were quite apropos. So I crept in the lodgings of Jasper, dressed in this wig, what a sight! There I found Roosevelt's clasp, her mother she gave Drood that night. Jasper took it from Ned after hurling her dead in the Weir River bed, I suppose. Tell him that that's what he knows, and the proof is quite villainous. Bring Jasper here to be tried up and tied up and strung. And from this limerick, let him be hung.
I will not lie, I wish Ned to die. Twice dead am I. How man could split in twain, yet to all eyes remain. So gentle who can conceal the venom in his brain. And if he draws upon the palsy madness, opium smoke supplies. Why this great surprise? There are 2 men in me, and cunning bright is he, who hides himself, confides himself where I have no eyes to see. And now I think he's at the brink of breaking through the door. I'm in, he's out, I'm out, he's free. I'm free, I'm me once more. How many times I've killed that Drood upon my flight. I like to pop his one presumption of his rights as heir, his rights to share my rose's bed. It took no smoke for me to picture Edwin dead. That night I filled myself a glass of laudanum. I toasted Ned, me and Neville, we drank some. That's when my greatest flight of fancy did take place. I watched my hands outstretched towards Edwin's pale white and in the moonfall I saw my fingers clutching his neck so tightly. Clutching my sleeve, he fell so lightly. Moonfall then fell on me. But God, the deed was much too easily done. As much as over once it had begun. How sad it was to finally make the kill, and not to awake to taste the thrill. Now I've confessed, now we can both rest.
No! I can't let it happen. Yes, you placed the coat that young Drood wore that night down by the river Wear to place suspicion on Neville Landless. You're a bad one, Mr. Jasper, when the evil one's inside you, but you're not a murderer. You didn't kill Edwin Drood.
Durdles, let me understand. Are you saying that John Jasper didn't kill his nephew Edwin?
Exactly, Lordship, sir. It was a wild night that Christmas Eve, as you'll remember. Squire and I had sought shelter by Mr. Jasper's door. I've been taking in more Christmas spirits than even I'm accustomed to. And I fear I couldn't raise a hand to help as Mr. Jasper throttled Edwin Drood. That was quite a long speech, Phil. Think I could have a quick nip of port.
Durdles!
Right. Suddenly I see Mr. Jasper stagger out of his home under the influence of potent medicine. And then he collapses. When he stands up, he picks up young Drood, and he carries him to the cathedral, then down into the crypt, depositing the body right in Miss Sapsey's tomb.
What?
Yes, I told you there's plenty of room in there.
Durdles, you must tell us. Who did it?
Lord love me. I killed Edwin Drood! What reason could I have to ever want Drood dead? Why would I want to harm a hair upon his head? But I'm the candidate you rowdy lot have chose. And so my motives now I fear I must disclose. Jasper laid his nephew in the crypt, he fled. With court support to Drood, I drank a toast. When I heard him moaning, groaning in my drunken head, I thought Drood was a ghost. Then he started screaming, just like a demon. It was a dreadful cry, drunk and stiff, my mind did hear it as a different kind of spirit. So I bashed him, smashed him, the murderer am I. Much thanks, goodbye. Much thanks, goodbye.
All right, there's your murderer for tonight. Yay! Well, yes, but we are entitled to a more happy ending. So there is still one final question we might resolve.
Everyone here seeks for love, romance, or at this hour any reasonable facsimile thereof. So, which two in our story will find that commodity we all seek? Which two shall be our lovers tonight? On the distaff side, we are left with
Mr. Throttle.
By a round of applause, Miss Helena Landley. The Princess Puffer. And Miss Rosa Bud. Very well. Rosa Bud will be our lover tonight.
And of course, we have a field of well-heeled bachelors available as well.
Mr. John Jasper. Deputy. Buzzard. The Reverend Chris Sparkle. And Neville Landless. Very well. Deputy, who'll be our other lover tonight.
Right, there's your decision, and I'm afraid we're stuck with it. Mr. Purcell, a gentle reprise, if you will. It appears we're about to have a love song.
Deputy, after being torn asunder by the various intentions of John Jasper, Neville Landless, and poor Edwin, I should like to begin life on virgin ground, and I should like to begin it with you.
Oh, Miss Bud, how unprepared I am both for this sudden joy and for this duet. Help me with the words, please, Miss Peregrine.
Once we were perfect strangers, how strangely met are we.
I find I now adore you. Our best is yet to be.
It seems I've longed to hold you. Fate ruled it so.
You love me so, they told you.
Let's not resist this ending.
Once we have kissed, pretending takes no skill. This strangeness makes me thrill. Once we were perfect strangers, yet now I love you perfectly.
And what of Edwin Drood? If only he could speak to us from beyond the grave. What would he tell us? What would he say?
I'm alive! Hello, all. I am Lazarus, risen from the grave. Oh, quite alive you'll find me. This tomb behind me is where I face my closest shave. When I struck my head against the street, I was stunned, not stricken. Our plot doth thicken when Jasper flew me off my feet. To the crypt I awoke in dark beyond belief. And while all above me showed their grief, I was screaming for my very breath. Only moments from death You have no idea the sudden strength that you feel within you, the steel and sinew, when death stands smiling at arm's length. I escaped from Cloisterham, I fled, and I did not return here till I could learn here just who in hell would wish me dead. But more than that, more than what solution fits the crime, what I've learned is life is bits of time, and we fight for every tiny speck when we're held by the neck. I have read the writing on the wall, and the greatest mystery is not the history of Jasper, Drood, and one and all. I have met my maker and returned. What advice I'm giving to all those living is just to learn what I have learned. Life is dear, there can be no victory in defeat. If outnumbered, beat a fast retreat to the nearest shelter and dig in. When you live, then you win. Scratch and claw for every year you're worth. Make them drag you screaming from life. Keep dreaming you'll live forever here on earth. I have seen the writing on the wall, and it's clearly spelled out for those who've held out, that holding on to life is all. It's clear. If you hear my voice, then you're alive. What a bloody marvel we survive when you think of every risk we face in our mad human race. I have read the writing on the wall. Try to live is spelled out for those who've held out, that holding on to life is all. Can't you hear